Hey guys, it's Pineapple, and today I want to talk to you guys, continuing my series on the end of certain character stories in My Hero Academia, which you can find the playlist for by clicking in the top right of the video, or over there. It's one of the two. I still don't know which side it is, even after like 10 plus years of YouTubing. But we're going to talk today about the end of Aoyama's story in My Hero Academia. Obviously, we've been covering the end of certain character series, kind of leading up to the finale of My Hero Academia as it ends this year in the manga. We've already covered Dabi and Endeavor, Toga, and Mirio, and there's another one, but I don't know if I've uploaded that one yet, so let me keep it a secret. But today we're going to talk about the end of Aoyama's story. Obviously, Aoyama had a lot of focus in the last arc of My Hero Academia for obvious reasons, and so we're going to talk all about it. So let's talk about where I think Aoyama's story is going to go, starting with, of course, a little bit of a recap of what he's been going through lately. Obviously, if you've been paying any attention to this channel, which not a lot of you are, by the way, come back. But obviously, if you've been paying attention to this channel, you've seen like my Aoyama theory video and my Aoyama Traitor videos and all that stuff. So to a certain extent, you know that Aoyama was revealed to be the U.A Traitor, and since then, things have been kind of odd with him, right? We saw that initially he was placed away inside of kind of like a holding kind of cell, right? If I remember right, he was talking to Aizo and everything, but then eventually he was released at the very beginning of the war arc to play a pivotal role sort of in the battle against All For One. Now, I remember when Aoyama and Deku had the conversation about like Deku telling Aoyama he could still be useful and whatnot, saying that Deku's plan was to use Aoyama to lure All For One in a very kind of All For One-esque way, right? Like Deku's planning here in this situation about like using Aoyama, and I'm pretty sure Bakugo picked up on it, right? We got a quick panel of somebody, I'm pretty sure it was Bakugo, picking up on exactly what Deku was thinking. That was a very All For One style plan. Like, hey, I'm gonna use you as bait pretty much. Or, hey, look, you can still be useful. Despite this tragedy that befell you, like, you can still be useful. I'm gonna reach out my hand to you and I'm gonna use you now, pretty much. We have to use you, Aoyama, to lead out All For One. And I really liked how that was sort of like the heroes doing an almost villainous plan to a certain extent, and it coming from Deku, who I obviously think, we can't escape it, who I obviously think is All For One's son, right? So, you know, those parallels and similarities between how they plan is always really exciting for me. Aoyama's role in this war arc was decided in that moment, I feel like, to a certain extent. I mean, yeah, there was larger planning where I'm sure the heroes and the adults really took control of what was going to happen, but Deku had the same idea. And I think that Aoyama's role initially to just be the one that lured out All For One really parallels this moment in the provisional license exam, right? Because in the provisional license exam, you have this moment where Aoyama uses his quirk to pretty much let everyone else pass but him, and like he stands out so that all of the enemy comes to him, and then what ends up happening instead is that when he stands out and all the villains, like, you know, converge on his location, all of class 1A kind of appears behind them, right? And they end up getting the victory. So that could very well be what happens here in this war arc. I mean, to a certain extent, we've seen things play out in a similar way where Aoyama drew everyone's attention, including All For One. Then the heroes showed up after, and obviously there are the clear comparisons to this in the USJ arc where everyone being teleported around, but we don't really have anything to go off for Aoyama from the USJ arc because Aoyama was missing most of the USJ arc, which I still don't think has like been properly explained. We could just assume that he was, you know, doing something All For One related, but we don't know for sure 100%. Aoyama hit All For One with a laser beam, I believe, and we saw that it actually wasn't able to pretty much do anything besides, I think, ruin All For One's jacket or something like that. If that was even Aoyama that did that. But I think moving forward, Aoyama is definitely going to play an interesting role here in that battle, right? Because I think he has to do something, right? I think if you're Aoyama right now, put yourself in his situation, right? You betrayed all your friends. Aizo is telling you, hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're probably not going to be a hero, kid. Like, you got to really go nuts in this war arc and play like a pivotal part if you think you have any chance, because it's pretty much no. There's pretty much no chance. But if you think you have any chance of being a hero moving forward, this is your time to prove it. So if you're Aoyama, what do? Right? You know what I mean? Like, you still have the stomach laser. It's still a crappy quirk. You still get the grumblies in your stomach. So what do? Right? Is Aoyama taking down Spinner wouldn't be enough to like get him back in the UA? Like, I feel like it would have to be related to All For One, right? So like, do you think that maybe Aoyama is going to like like actually be able to do damage to All For One or Shigaraki or anything in this arc? Like, do you think he's going to play that much of a pivotal role where they really start using Aoyama's quirk as kind of like a, I mean, it is a laser beam, you know, it's not like, maybe it's not as strong as the laser beams from Star and Stripes' jets from the Shigaraki versus Star and Stripe fight, or maybe it's stronger, you know, who knows? Maybe it can be stronger depending on how Aoyama uses it. Potentially, maybe they'll use him in that way, right? Like using his laser beam to kind of cause diversions and kind of attack All For One or Shigaraki or whichever battlefield he's on, right? Maybe using him that way. Or I think the bigger picture would be using Aoyama as kind of like a poster child for people who were manipulated by All For One, right? That were able to come back from it, right? Because when we move forward in society after this war arc and everything is done, we're going to be in a situation where pretty much like there are people in society that have worked for All For One, right? We saw even when the students and everyone were going away to the war arc, there are civilians and random people all over the place who are still loyal to All For One. So I feel like characters like Aoyama or characters like any of the villains who get saved, but especially like Aoyama because you could see that he genuinely wanted to be a hero. Characters like that were manipulated by All For One, I feel like pushing them in the media, I mean, and let's not even get into like whether or not they should be pushing students into the media, because I know somebody's going to comment that, right? Like, oh, they deserve their privacy, they're in high school or whatever. They're literally child soldiers at this point, you know what I mean? So the government's already doing whatever, using them to fight in wars against villains and stuff like that. You could put one of them on TV to be like, hey, look, this is an example of a person who was indebted to All For One for various reasons, who was manipulated by All For One, and they came back and they made a difference. They're just like you guys. Like anyone out there who is still feeling like they're loyal to All For One, even though he's gone, let's say like at the end of the series, right? Like you have any plans in the future, we will welcome you back into society. We will welcome you back into the fold of peace, right? As long as you show and as long as you know that we're moving forward on good terms, you know what I mean? That we're not being beholden to anything that the Dark Prince or the Dark Lord or whatever the hell, the demonic Prince of Evil made us feel like we had to do anymore. Like everyone is free. Hopefully that is kind of the situation at the end of the series, right? Aoyama could be a very, very good kind of hero or a story to push, at least in the newspapers. I know if we remember, we had in the My Villain Academia arc that one character, the blue lady, I forget her name because she's the only one that died, so she's less important. But she was very, very big into like, you know, doing memoirs on certain people and stuff like that. And I wonder if there are other authors in the My Hero Academia world that are also very well known for like, you know, doing memoirs on certain heroes or certain characters that get very popular. Maybe we'll see the journalists from that one filler episode of My Hero Academia come back and do a story on Aoyama and kind of, you know, I feel like that would be a big help because, you know, say what you want, propaganda is propaganda, but sometimes it can be very effective, right? And there's good propaganda and bad propaganda, I think. Is that how it works? I'm stupid. I don't have a journalism major, so I'm just a YouTuber, guys. I'm sorry. But continuing to talk about Aoyama's future and the end of his story in My Hero Academia as the story comes to a close, could Aoyama still become a hero? You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of the question that we're really poking at here. And I guess the bigger question in that is, could Aoyama still attend classes at UA, right? Depending on what happens in this war arc. Like maybe if it's deemed that he played a pivotal role in defeating All For One, right? Or something like that, there would be a little leniency, you think? Like that's pretty much the question that I want to ask you guys in the comment section below, right? Do you think that Aoyama will still be able to attend classes at UA after everything is said and done, right? Or do you even think there's gonna be a UA? You know what I mean? Do you think UA as an establishment is going to exist anymore? Or do you think they're pretty much going to change all the teachers and everybody for letting, you know, them use the students as child soldiers and stuff like that, like twice now? And I guess if like it's a matter of redemption for Aoyama, like he has to really do something to redeem himself, I'm having trouble picturing what that could be. You know what I mean? Like I'm having trouble picturing what Aoyama could reasonably do to get that much back into good graces of heroes, right? Like when people hear about what he did, they're going to be angry to a certain extent, right? Like people are going to be looking at him a little differently, but at the same time, he is still a child, you know what I mean? He's still a high schooler. He was being manipulated. His family was involved. It's kind of hard in that situation to go against everybody telling you what to do. So I think maybe society will have mercy on Aoyama. Maybe he'll be pardoned for what he did in the aftermath of My Hero Academia. And if so, I do remember from Vigilantes, that even if he doesn't make it to like UA, right? I do remember in Vigilantes that there is a program for people who aren't heroes and who didn't go to hero school. Or, you know, it's pretty much like a GED program or something like that. It's a program that you can go through to get your hero license to become a hero. And I remember that being the case because I believe Pop Step asked Koichi if he was going to end up, you know, at a certain point just getting his pro hero license. And you know, obviously Koichi at that point in his life wasn't going to go through UA, you know, go through the regular school system. So I guess that there is some sort of facility or some sort of something for, you know, adults pretty much trying to get their hero license later in life, which that would have been an interesting series to follow. I would love that series where we just follow like a bunch of like, not failures, let's say, but people who've had a hard in life and people, you know, haven't honestly always gone the best path, or maybe they were like going the best path, but they were just doing it illegally, like the vigilantes, and having them all kind of come together as a found family in like a hero school setting, but not so much a hero school where you're learning math and everything, because we're adults already. You know what I mean? Like, we're already grown. You're just trying to get your hero license. Let's just stick to hero training, in the field work, team missions. That would be really cool. But, you know, I guess that's not the series that we're reading. And that's not really part of the point of what Aoyama's ending is going to be in the story of My Hero Academia. So to get back on that, I do think it's maybe possible for Aoyama, if he doesn't go to UA, he's not able to go there, to maybe in the future get his hero license through one of those programs. But that might be kind of the end of where his story goes. Like, I don't imagine him being a high-ranking hero. I'm sure he's gonna get married and, you know, do the whole thing one day and everything. Maybe he'll be like a famous TV personality, or he'll do something sparkly and amazing. He'll open like a window store, a mirror store, or, you know, a diamond store or something like that, right? We're gonna see Aoyama in Uncut Gems. That's gonna be the end of Aoyama's story in My Hero Academia, now that I think about it. It's just gonna be the plot of Uncut Gems on Netflix. So if you need to know any more about where Aoyama's going in life, he's had a kind of shady backstory, he loves glittering things, bam, Uncut Gems. So in all seriousness, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below where you think Aoyama's story could possibly go and how you think he could likely get redemption for the situation revolving All for One and for, you know, pretty much being a traitor, right, and lying to his friends all this time. Do you think he can get redemption? And bonus question, do you think at the end of the series Aoyama is going to keep the quirk that All for One gave him, right? Do you think maybe by the end of the series All for One will have taken it back or taken it away as a result of Aoyama's betraying him? Or do you think that, you know, he's going to get away with keeping it still and maybe eventually master it in a way where it's actually very useful to him, in the way that we saw Mirio do, right? We know that Mirio had a quirk that was kind of useless to a certain extent to him, and like it was a big pain and it had like bad body implications, but he ended up making it pretty broken. So I wonder if there's a way for Aoyama to do that, but maybe he'll figure that out in his third year of UA if he makes it there, or maybe he'll figure that out somewhere in adulthood. I still think that Aoyama is likely going to be friends with some of the characters in the class when he's older and everything. And that's everything I think I could cover about the end of Aoyama's story in My Hero Academia. I think we'll likely see a traitor be redeemed, but the road there is gonna be hard, to be honest. And I don't think just being used as bait is enough for Aoyama to be forgiven. I do still think there's gonna be another moment with him at some point, just like I hope there is another moment with all the students, right? I hope everyone gets an individual moment before the series ends. And now in the war arc would be a nice time to just go through everyone one by one, right? And kind of give them a showcasing moment. So that is the end of Aoyama's story in My Hero Academia. This is Vocal Pineapple. Next, I'm going to be uploading part 2 of my series on top 5 unsolved mysteries in My Hero Academia. So look out for that. If you haven't caught the last one, check it out. It's going to be recommended in one of these little areas. Still don't know which one it is, but you're going to see it soon. And I'll see you guys later. It's Pineapple. Peace.